Hello. Pardon me. Hello. Not quite sure why I want to do this, but I thought I'd just have a quick stream to maybe just record some interesting things that I've noticed for myself. Oh, that's right. It's in survival mode. Okay, just stand by. Okay. So that gives, I've just opted myself, which means I can now use, functions and all blocks easily. And I talked about this on my last stream. What I thought I might try to do here is this big crater that was left over from the attack the other day. I'm going to try and fill it up with dirt. And I'm going to do it from, say, this block here. That block there, that's that grass block that's holding that post. Yep, and I'm going to do it all the way over there. So what I'm going to do first of all is get the location of that block. Now, the way I'm going to do it is by destroying those posts there, just so I can stand on the block. Now I know there's a few ways of doing this. I'm not familiar with most of them, but I am familiar with this idea because I made it up myself. So there I'm standing on that block, and now I'm just going to run a function and I'm going to enable this, what do you call this thing? It's a scoreboard. So there's two parts to it. I've got to first of all create the scoreboard. I'm trying to show, oh here it is, show dad's position. So this, what this does, will put it on the screen for me. There we are. And now I just need to find a pen and write down what those block coordinates are. How about that? I haven't got a pen. Here we go. Alright, so what have we got? We've got 895. That's the X. The Y is 63. And the Z, we say Z in New Zealand. I know a lot of other people like to say Z, but we don't usually say that. The Z is 1 minus 1543. Okay, so that's one corner of the block that I'm going to try and place. And now, well, I don't like this mode very much, so I'm going to switch back to normal. Right, now I'm going to just run over there somewhere. Oh yeah, cool, it's raining. Okay, so somewhere around about here, actually, I want to try and get a bit higher up. Oh wow, for some reason gameplay's a bit rough. Okay, so let's just say I'm going to try and fill this crater up with dirt to this block here from that other block, wherever it is that I'm standing right now. The coordinates for that one are 8, 5, 5. Now the Y, I'm just going to ignore that. It says 64. I'm actually only one block higher than that, so we're just going to go with 63. In fact, that number I'm going to change. I'll explain that in a minute. So the Z is minus 1572. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, whoops, I'm trying to fly. Okay, here we go. Just point there, and we're going to execute a function. It is the fill command, and I'm going to fill it from that far corner, which was the first one I measured. So that's 895, 63, and minus 1543. And we're going to go to the other corner that I was just measuring, which is 855. So that's 40 blocks wide. 855. Now, I said I was going to ignore the 63, the Y coordinate on the other block. That's because I'm going to use that to determine how deep I want the blocks to go, because I'm going to make a thing that is 40 blocks wide, which we already know because the X has changed, and the depth I want it to be, say, it doesn't need to be too deep. I'm just going to go 10 blocks deep, so we'll add 10 to 63 and make that, no, we'll subtract 10 from 53 and make it 53, and that means that the dirt blocks that I put in there will all be at least, we'll go down to 10 blocks deep. That's what I'm trying to say. And then the last coordinate is minus 1572. So that's fine. So that's the coordinates of the area that I'm going to fill. And now I'm going to tell it what kind of fill it is. It's a grass block. So each block in that area there that I've just specified is going to be a grass block. And I want to determine the style of the fill to be, I think it's keep, which means if in that range that I've specified there is already a block, and there is in this case because there's a lot of stone blocks here you can see, and some existing dirt. Keep, when you specify keep here, it means that those blocks will stay, and the other blocks will become whatever I'm trying to fill with, and that's grass blocks. So it'll be all dirt, but if you dig deep enough, you'll start hitting the stones that are in there now, and they'll stay there. That's the point of executing the command like this. That is it. So if this works, and I've got no guarantee, I can't make a guarantee it's going to work, but if it does work, that crater should be full in 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's pretty cool. Not quite as cool as I was expecting, because I thought I didn't take into account that gap over there. But I can do that manually because the bulk of it is done with all that dirt. Yeah, so what's happened is it's, I've actually done it one block too high, because that should have been it should have been there. All of that grass should have been at that level down there. So it's a block too high, but it's fine. We'll go with that. What I can do is just break these blocks here. And oh man, it's very glitchy. What do you call it? Laggy. Very laggy. I suppose what I could do actually is run another fill command and fill this one layer of blocks with air, and that would get rid of that would just make them all disappear. You know what, I'll try that. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. So let's see, fill, actually if we do it this way, there we are, there's the command I sent before. So at block 63, which is the wrong height, we'll just make everything into air, and we will replace everything so that there's nothing left, no blocks left. It'll just be all air, hopefully. 3, 2, 1. Oh, it worked. It's gonna fill this hole manually, because working out the coordinates, as you saw how I did it, is easy enough, although it's a bit of a pain to do it. Pointing and clicking, it's yeah, it's a lot more natural for the human brain. Not saying that you can't do complex three-dimensional planning in the human brain, it's just that I'm not very good at it. That's weird. I'm trying to place these path blocks, and that was a dirt block that, oh, I don't know, maybe I missed something. Oops. Oh, what? Oh, hey. Well, that's a bit weird. Oh yeah, I've seen that happen before. It's something wrong with the way the server runs. Actually, that's a memo I was going to leave for myself in this video. I've been getting a lot of errors on the server. Not really sure what they are, but pretty sure that it's got to do with the configuration of the computer itself. I'm running Ubuntu Linux, quite a late version of it. It's 2004 or something like that. And because I'm not the world's greatest Linux user anymore, I used to be really good at it back in the old days, back in the Red Hat days. Anyway, Ubuntu's, I basically haven't really configured it too much, so it probably needs, I probably need to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and eliminate every single application that isn't needed, because I don't care about anything on that machine, just the fact that it can run Java and make the server work. The other thing I thought about was the type of storage that I've got. Unfortunately, it's an old PC, which means it's just a solid, not a solid, a hard drive that I'm using. A mechanical hard drive, which I think doesn't really suit Java too as much as an SSD would, something that's faster. Because Minecraft just seems to run on a lot of data, a seriously huge amount of data. And for instance, this error message I'm getting says, where is it here? Server thread, blah blah blah, logged in. Oh my gosh, where is it? Oh, here we are. Lost connection, internal exception, byte array with size 1210849 is bigger than allowed 512. So what that means is that internal to the game, there's a system that requires data for some reason to be in chunks of, well, not, in a range of, in the size of 512, which is probably bytes, 512 bytes. But whatever the data is that it's trying to use is bigger than that, and it's not supposed to be. Unfortunately, I've got no idea why that error is coming up, because I have no access to the source code or any documentation for it. But what that tells me is that oops, what am I doing? Do I want that there? I don't want that there. What does that tell me? I'm not actually sure what that tells me. But one thing I'm sure about, though, is that it's on the server side. It's definitely a server side problem. What's causing it is connections, because it's a connection error. It says the connection's been lost, and an exception in the network handler, I think it is, or the input-output handler. It's possibly some kind of a port scan, because it looks like there's an IP trying to connect, and it does it on a different set of ports, or a different port every time, and I'm always getting the same problem. So it's like, I think it's a port scan of some kind, but the error is internal to the server, and it's basically not stopping the game from playing. So it's not a like red light critical warning problem. It's just a look at this thing, keep your eye on it kind of problem. Whoa. Okay, let's go up in the air. Can we go? No. Oh wow. Okay. Right. I totally didn't take this area here into account. But it's okay. It's Sunday in New Zealand today. And New Zealand's a little bit ahead of every other country because of the international dateline. But anyway, simply put, it is Sunday today. I'm having a rest day of, and just thought I'd do this stream just because I was curious about filling that crater in, and I just needed something to do for an hour, because the World Chess Championship will be continuing in about an hour, about 40 minutes actually. It's 10 to 8 p.m. in New Zealand. The competition kicks off at 8:30 in New Zealand time. That's 3 p.m. in Astana, I think it's Kazakhstan, where they're playing in the FIDE World Chess Championship, and whoever wins this match will be the world champion, as Magnus Carlsen has abdicated his his title. He doesn't want to be world champion anymore. For him, I guess it's a bit old hat. He just keeps on winning everything, and you know, it's not that he's gotten bad at playing the game or anything like that. He's still a genius, but you know, he's got nothing to prove anymore. Maintaining his world champion title probably just got to be too much work for something he you know, like I say, he doesn't need to prove anything. Okay, well that's cool. So here's this church that used to be standing there. Got blown up by the vandals. So I'm not going to do anything with that. Anton can either rebuild that if he wants to, and he's good at building churches, or he can just knock those blocks out and build something else. This railway came from there. No, I'll just leave that all for Anton to do. There's two other things I think I'll probably do. I don't know if I'll do it tonight. One of them is this thing, building the library, and the other is that other house which is over there. Forgot what it was called. Oh, actually, and there's another house I remember seeing a sign for. Oop, what was that? What does it say? Cartographer. That's right. And I think there was one back in this part of town. Here. Flector. Now for some reason Anton can't say this word properly. It's Fletcher. Fletcher, and a Fletcher is a person who makes arrows and possibly bows as well. I'm not actually sure, but I know that they are the people that make arrows. It has to do, Fletcher has something to do with the feathery flights. But yeah, so that's the house that's supposed to be there, a Fletcher house. On oak planks for a floor. That's interesting. Yeah, actually I might just quickly go over to what's it called? Terrace End. We'll just go to this portal. It's just a shortcut. You know, I can fly or I can run, or I can just jump in a teleportal and just teleport. Like, in fact, I could even just teleport myself with a function. This is even a little bit less efficient than that. Okay. So it's transported me to a location called Portal 4, which is basically just the address of a block. And that block may be at this height or higher. 72, I think it was, yeah, that's probably not too far from it actually. Maybe it was 77 or 76. I never noticed that before. Look at that big, that soot or whatever it is over there. Oh, come on. Sometimes my keyboard and mouse just really suck. And this is all running quite jerkily. You know, I'm not getting very smooth playback. But that's probably because of all the streaming and all of that stuff. This computer's probably struggling with that. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see there, that. Oh, see if I can find a better example. You see these blocks look a bit grubby. They look dark. Well, it's because they're not rendering properly because of the way that Minecraft does its rendering. It kind of, from my understanding, it gives each block a sort of a bunch of percentages. And somehow the way that these blocks are supposed to have been rendered has gotten a bit screwed up. They're not rendered perfectly. Like, you see all those blocks here are all dark. They're not actually dark, they're just not drawn properly because something in the process to draw them hasn't worked right. And it's always related to the server running out of memory. In fact, when I look at the console, which I'm just going to do right now, I just noticed it's caught a rather large error. Out of memory. Okay, well that's a pain because I put in extra memory into this computer. It's now got 32 gigabytes of RAM, and that kind of says to me that that's not enough memory. It certainly refers to what's called the Java heap space. So heap space is like, I believe it's like the area that has been reserved for the application. The heap is where the computer writes all its stuff and and yeah, all its resources, like, you know, descriptions of what things look like and what properties they have and all that sort of thing is in the heap. But then there's also the RAM where the game actually executes. There's a lot of dynamic code in RAM that reads out of the heap, executes, puts it on the screen, interacts with you, and then puts something back in the heap or gets something else from the heap. That's sort of generally how most programs work, in my understanding. It didn't like something. What is this? Java util concurrent fork join worker thread. I am not sure what that means. But the game's still going, so it's not a critical error. Right, if I can get this thing to work. Oh, there we are. Okay, see all those black blocks? What happens if you put something next to it is that it causes the blocks around it to reevaluate themselves, and they in that moment find out that they're not rendered properly, and they render themselves properly. Usually, I believe that's what it is. And it definitely has to do with poor memory management. Oh, I've got to do some more reading. It could well be just that I just physically don't have enough RAM. Maybe I need to try and get 64 in there or something, or well, there's two things. One thing to try at least before that, and that is to try and slim the system down so that the server isn't doing too many things. That's one thing I need to look at, and I'll try and do that this week. been a long time since I played with Linux or Unix or any of those sorts of systems. Once upon a time I used to work with Unix, or either of them, all the time, and I was pretty good at it, but not anymore. So let's see. Okay, so the door to my house was here. Then there were some steps to get down. Oops. I wonder if bedrock. Okay, so you would come in through the door. There was a little bit of a landing actually, I think, and then you step down one layer, one level, and then you would come into this area, and this was where the teleport room was, somewhere in here. I could rebuild it probably, and maintain all the current code that I've got, which yeah, I don't really see any problem with. But I think, originally what I was trying to say was this used to be all covered in. It was inside my house, because it didn't start. My house didn't start off as a teleport system. It was just somewhere to stay, somewhere to sleep, and it evolved into that. But I don't really need that anymore. I was just thinking about maybe if I just make all this really flat and sort of like a public space, and just and something like a cave rather than a house. Maybe I'm not making any sense at all. That's the thing over there. Come on, fly. Oh man. Of course. Oh. That crafting table is really old. Yeah, that was part of the original iteration of this house, and then Anton decided to change everything, and it kind of got lost in the walls. I forgot about it, because once I got my house pretty much finished, this area just here, I think somewhere in here was my bedroom, and we had another crafting table over here, and what are those things called? Oh, the kind of table that you do magic at. What do you call it? Oh, I don't know, I can't remember right now. Yeah, anyway. I don't know what this is. This was my lounge. Oh yeah, that's right, because Anton dug these massive, great things into the house. This was, he had some kind of a fountain thing going on here in the house. And yeah, he digs a lot of trenches because he builds his redstone gadgets everywhere. He's always building doors that open in clever ways. Yeah, this was the outside of my house. At one stage we had, oh no, what are they called? Axolotls in this pool. And I think frogs. Oh, look at this, we're losing water. Oh man. Still losing water because... Oh my gosh. I'm not sure what kind of block I should put there. Why is there all these, why are there oak planks under there? Okay, just because that makes it look more regular, I'm going to do that. Not that. And that. I don't know why I keep getting that second click. I only click once. Oh well. As you can tell, I'm no expert at this game. Well, part of the problem is, of course, that this mouse and keyboard I'm using are cordless, and so there's a range issue as well as speed of the transfer of the information. However, the computer itself is not running very well. because if I'm not streaming and stuff, then it actually runs pretty smoothly, and I really enjoy playing it. It's much faster on Anton's computer, but along with that, I find it's actually a bit harder to use because it's so fast. But he just zips along. He's really comfortable with it, and he runs rings around me. Okay. I wonder if I can. No, I can't be bothered trying to do that. Yeah, so this is something Anton did. Up at the ground level. Oh, okay. You can see just up here where my cursor is. That's the top of a teleportal. That was a 1 to terrace end. Teleport room was actually just over there by that sort of dirt wall. And down here was this underground railway that Anton built. Oh, there's a villager in there. Oh, come on. Man. Okay, come on, dude. Let's get out of here. Well, I'm not entirely sure. You're stuck in there, are you? Okay. What? Mm. Oh, right, here we are. Flying, finally. Oh, whoops. Okay, so here's this railway that Anton built. Which got damaged in the bombing. But down here is mostly intact, so it won't be hard to put this back together. This was an alternate route over to Highbury. Right there, I don't know if you saw that drop, but that means that we're underwater, which we were. This is partially underwater, I think. Yeah, it has to be. You can see more water there. Okay, and here's the end of that rail. Where's there carpet on the floor? I can't remember. But that's probably got some kind of some kind of redstone nonsense going on over there. I don't really understand redstone. And here we are in Highbury. And there's some pillagers. What are they doing here? Oh no, they're just... What are you? Huh. I don't know what they are. Well, anyway. Oh, that's a thought. I created this particle effect up there because I thought it would be cool to have some kind of a light source, and that's controlled by this control block right here, and I am going to delete it because somewhere I read that you should make particle effects, keep them to a minimum. That possibly may have been affecting the way that the server was running. I mean, a bit of a long shot, there's only one particle effect, but still. Okay, so this portal here takes you again back to the main area over in Terrace End, and that takes you to portal 1. Which is roughly here somewhere. So this was portal 1, then that would have been portal 2, portal 3 over there. White oak planks. And then 4, 5 and 6 were over there somewhere, and where those planks are somewhere was where there's steps. How bizarre. What are they doing there? This is where the pad was, which was just a 3 by 3 square arrangement of blocks that you could teleport to. That's really weird. I don't know what this redstone's doing here, but it's obviously part of a circuit that got blown away. Actually, when I think about it, now that I have thought about it, oh come on, I'm kind of grateful for the bombing, because Anton had this really strange idea. He had a house, he built a house here, I can't remember exactly where, I think it was here actually. No, somewhere around here anyway, oh maybe there. And he put a whole lot of campfires under it because he wanted it to be smoking, and he called it the smoking house. And I never liked it. I mean, I didn't mind it, I wished it wasn't there because it's just a smoky thing. Anyway, the bombers came in, levelled the suburb, or that part of the suburb, and that house isn't there anymore. Anton repaired that garden there that had been blown up, but he's fixed it up, and we did start working on trying to tidy things up here with this, you know, basically a new ground surface area. You know, we started laying all this grass down. And that was just to cover it up so it didn't look so bad. And I might even still do that. What I was just thinking of was I started putting this bedrock down. What I might do is actually do a plate of bedrock over all of this and just leave all those caverns under there, because that's quite an interesting challenge. In survival, you could make it a challenge to try and get out of there. Yeah. Oh, I'm just talking nonsense. I'm tired. It's 20 past 8 p.m. The chess will be starting in 10 minutes, and I really probably should get myself another coffee, because yeah, we're feeling a bit tired. I don't know how long it's going to go on for. Last night, the reason I'm so tired today is because last night's match game was 6.5 hours. 6.5 hours, and I barely made it. And for me, it started at 8:45. So, geez, when was that? It was 4 hours till 12. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning or something for me when they finished. And I didn't even watch the what do you call it? They have a ceremony, a press conference afterwards, and I didn't watch that. I watched it today on YouTube. Yeah, and so I've spent most of the day actually just trying to get some rest, and even though I've been taking it easy all day, I'm bushed, and I've got work in the morning, so hopefully the chess won't be on for too long. It's moved into the second phase now, which is rapid chess. The way the championship works is that in the first part of the match they have 14 games in what they call classical format, and classical format means that there's no stringent time restriction on making a move. Each player gets, and I can't remember how much, it was about 2 hours each to make their first 40 moves, I think it is. After they reach 40 moves, they get granted extra time, and then after another and when they reach another set of moves, they get more time or something anyway. And the idea is that the game is not expected to last forever. And most of the games I've watched have been about 3 hours. Last night's one was a very long game, 6.5 hours. That's crazy long. But what the result was that out of 14 games, the scores are even. They are now 7-7, which means they have to go to the second stage, which is the rapid chess, and that's because it's now tie breaks, and they have much quicker games because they have limits on how long they have to think, and the games are shorter. So, and I think there's only going to be 4 rapid games, unless they get tied at the end of those games, and then they'll have another way to break it. I'm not entirely clear on that. I think they might have a 5th game, and it might be rapid, and it's just either somebody wins or... Oh no, actually I'm not clear about that. I'll find out as I watch. But it's very interesting. It's Jan Nepomniachtchi. I don't know how to say his name properly. Nepomniachtchi. And Ding Liren, who is... Nepomniachtchi is from Russia. Ding Liren is from China. And they're very strong players, but also fairly fallible. I've noticed a lot of the commentary about them during the games has been very interesting. According to some other greats like Fabiano Caruana, he's been noticing a lot of blunders. Hikaru didn't have... Well, Hikaru was surprised actually that Ding isn't doing better. I have no idea what Magnus thinks about it, haven't heard anything from him. But otherwise they've had Naroditsky, Caruana, Anish Giri and Daniil Dubov, all commenting. And all being quite surprised at some of the moves. That they would have expected. They expect different moves, different attacks, but at the end of the day, when you see the results, you know, these guys are just fighting each other to the death. You've got to acknowledge that they are grandmasters. It's somebody like me, who's got a huge 400 ELO score, will never ever be able to beat them. There we go, I'm getting errors on the server again. There's an IP number and it looks like a port descriptor, and that number keeps changing. Every time I see this error, it's got a different port number. I think I'm being scanned. At some point I might have to look into the router and just see what that's saying. Anyway, I'm sure you could listen to me all night. Be fun, wouldn't it? Oh. So I'm just going to get rid of my scoreboard there, and I'm going to unknown command. Can I not do that? Really? Can I not do that? No, it's okay. I'll just switch over to the server and do it, because I want to make sure that it's not possible for a hacker to make the place any worse. Ah, that's interesting. It took away my ops, but it left me in creative mode. I thought it would automatically put me into survival, but it didn't. Huh. Okay, there it is. Alright, so if you happen to watch any of this, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anton and I both appreciate any interest in Anton's World of Videos. And I'm going to be doing probably a couple more streams this week. The next one will probably be actually probably just building those two houses over in Awapuni. Actually, I think I want to save this area until Anton comes in the weekend, and we'll look at it together. Yeah, I think that's probably what I'll do. So thank you again for stopping at Anton's World of Videos, and I hope you have a productive and happy rest of the week and month. Actually, it'll be the first tomorrow, won't it? So have a happy January, February.